The story starts here in the heart of the city.
We've been following the story since it first broke. Everyone's waiting to find out what's next.
It's an issue here and for residents around Boston.
Now the city is buzzing.
It's a story you first saw on SU News.
Exclusive details you'll only see here.
And now, we're getting the answers.
We track down the details.
It's the talk of the town.
It's all coming up on SU News. Good morning, Boston, and welcome to SU News, the weekly news program brought to you by the Department of Communications, Journalism, and Media at Suffolk University. I'm Sofia Hernandez.
And I'm Eddie Reinhardt. Today's top story, the results are in from the New Hampshire primary. SU News reporter Alex Acacia is live in the studio with more.
In breaking news, Senator Bernie Sanders leads the Democrats by a fraction, finishing 2 points ahead of the surge Pete Buttigieg. President Trump took the win for the New Hampshire Republican primary. With the pollings officially closed, New Hampshire was the first state to vote in the presidential primary for the 2020 election this past Tuesday. People all over gathered at their local wards to cast their vote, while many candidates traveled across the state to visit them. Surprise candidate Buttigieg has been changing the minds of political predictions, being the third highest in voting, followed by Klobuchar, Warren, and Weld, but lost by 2 percentage points to the Vermont senator. Major cities like Manchester and Concord became flooded with people until the last hour to cast their vote. Moderator of Manchester, Bruce Hardy, stayed at one of the local high schools until the polls closed to read off the votes.
Kamala Harris, 0. Henry Hughes, 0. Amy Klobuchar, 361. Tom Kouas, 1.
As of now, Bernie Sanders is in the front runner for the Democratic nomination, and President Trump still remains for the Republicans. However, it is still anyone's race. Live in the studio for SU News, I'm Alexandria Acacia.
Thank you, Alex. And now Bostonians are counting down to when it will be their turn to cast a ballot in the Massachusetts presidential primary. SU News reporter Hannah Arroyo has the latest on how the Bay State is preparing for election season.
As the New Hampshire primary comes to a close, Massachusetts residents are gearing up to cast their votes in just less than a month. Wednesday was officially the last day Massachusetts residents could register to vote. While the polls don't open until March, early voting for the primary is set to take place from February 24th to the 28th. According to a WBUR/Mass Inc. poll taken in Massachusetts, Senator Elizabeth Warren has a 15-point advantage over former Vice President Joe Biden. President Trump took to New Hampshire for a rally on Monday, promoting his re-election campaign. He went on to earn about 85% of the Republican vote on Tuesday. Here in Massachusetts, residents are not expected to vote in the president's favor. When put head-to-head with Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden, an Emerson College poll found Boston to be in favor of the Democrats. After dismal showings in the New Hampshire primary, entrepreneur Andrew Yang and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet officially dropped out of the race Tuesday night. Yang received only 2.8% of the vote, while Bennet received 0.3%. They weren't the only ones, though, as former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick would follow suit the next morning. With the race heating up, Massachusetts residents can expect the polls to officially open on March 3rd. Reporting from the State House, I'm Hannah Arroyo, SU News.
A confrontation turned violent. A valet worker shot outside Brigham and Women's Hospital Friday morning. That valet's worker is expected to be okay, but exactly what happened is a big question. SU News reporter Daria Lizova has more on the story.
A shocking shooting right outside of Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. A valet was shot and seriously hurt, but there are still questions about exactly what happened. Police were initially called to the hospital for reports of a man with a gun. That initial scene gave way to a chase that stretched from Boston to Chestnut Hill. The man behind the wheel was eventually shot and killed by officers after crashing on Route 9. Police say Justin Root, 41 years old, was killed. Police is still trying to piece together exactly what happened. I'm Daria Lisova for SU News.
The valet worker is in stable condition and expected to make a full recovery.
There's concern around Boston for international students, as there have been reports of students facing delays or being denied when trying to obtain visas to study in the city. With 22% of Suffolk University students being from countries outside the U.S., this could be a real problem.
The American Association Immigration in Taiwan, and we have to go with those immigrants and face-to-face meeting. They will ask some questions like, why are you going there, and why are your job experiences. I think it will feel a little bit overwhelming because usually we won't know why and what happens and just waiting for nothing. And some students may not be good at English and they don't know how to write an email to ask for what happened, so they just keep waiting.
These concerns over student visas are coming on the wake of the FBI releasing a most wanted poster for Yang King-ye. Ye allegedly committed acts of espionage for the Chinese government while studying at Boston University. Ye is being charged with acting as an agent of a foreign government as well as visa fraud.
I think there are like a group of people getting denied when they are applying their visa. It's totally normal. It have many reasons. It's not their fault. So there will be always backup plans. So maybe just go for it. Try again. Maybe things like that. It will also help them. Yeah. But I do get some friends like when they entering US and they were sent back to China, maybe because they didn't renew it, and it will be a problem.
The students here at Suffolk University remain optimistic, but should any student have any question regarding visas, they are encouraged to reach out to the Suffolk Into office.
And coming up, South Station is getting a facelift. Changes that may make life easier for commuters. It's all coming up on SU News.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Welcome back to SU News. Nearly 2 years after marijuana was legalized in Massachusetts, the city of Boston is seeing green.
That's right, the city's first pop shop getting final approval, and now it's getting ready to open for business. SU News reporter Maxim Isaac has all the details.
The city of Boston is getting its first recreational marijuana dispensary right here in Dorchester. It has been more than 2 years since Massachusetts has legalized the sale of marijuana. Pear Oasis getting its final license approval from the Cannabis Control Commission last week. Kobe Evans and Kevin Hart are part of a program intended to support people of color in the marijuana industry. Evans vows to hiring people of color from the community.
Important that our employees are from the neighborhood, because it's a great neighborhood and we should be able to celebrate people from the neighborhood and celebrate the neighborhood as a whole. And, we want people to be invested in our shop and invested in the community.
Boston residents say they are fine with the new shop in the neighborhood and with those who choose to partake in purchasing marijuana.
To me, I don't smoke, I don't drink, but if that helps you, with your health and everything, so more power to it, I don't feel any ill will towards it.
But others say they're worried about the effect that the new shop could have on the neighborhood.
I think a marijuana store in the black community is dangerous.
Pear Oasis has not released an official opening date, but that's expected in the coming weeks. In Boston, I'm Maxim Isaac, SU News.
South Station is getting a facelift. A new renovation project will soon begin, exciting new changes to the station to come. SU News reporter Aneem Osmani has more on what's to come.
Commuters say they're tired of the long walk between buildings from the train to the bus terminal. Well, this new South Station project will make things a bit more convenient. The South Station Air Rights Project is intended to make transfers between all modes of transportation more convenient, adding a direct connection between the bus and rail terminals. The outdoor concourse area will increase in size by 67%. The tracks and platforms will also be completely covered. The bus terminal will increase capacity by more than 50%.
There's nowhere to sit, very limited seating options, very poor bathroom facilities. So those are both key issues that I would improve.
The Air Rights Project is a collaboration effort between the MBTA, Hines, and the Boston Planning and Development Agency. The construction is expected to last 4 years and will be divided into 3 phases. Phase 1 just began with the construction of the outdoor concourse. Phase 2 starts in July.
I know it's happening. They've given out brochures, but I don't know how much of an inconvenience that's going to be either.
The construction project will also bring in a new mixed-use building that will provide retail, office, and residential space. Construction on that tower starts in July. It will have an impact on commuters. For more information, visit the MBTA website. For SU News, I'm Aneem Osmani.
The state of New York making a big change banning real estate broker fees on new rentals. And now Boston may be next, but realtors say it could lead to higher rents in the city. SU News reporter Amy Kucera takes a deeper look.
Boston may be taking a hint from the Empire State. In response to New York's decision to eliminate broker fees, Mayor Marty Walsh has formed a group that will study putting the same idea into action here in Boston. As the housing market in both major cities has grown increasingly competitive over the past several years, many renters have been forced to deal with brokers as they look for a new home. But the cost of getting this additional help isn't cheap. Renters typically have to be prepared to pay 3 to 4 times the cost of rent when they sign a lease, between first and last month's rent, a security deposit, and a broker's fee. For college students strapped for cash, this can be especially challenging.
Friends are living paycheck to paycheck in order to pay just our basic bills. It's a lot of money to ask of us. A lot of us don't have the ability to ask our parents to take out money for us.
Real estate analysts say Boston is the last major city to commonly use broker fees. In other cities, the property owner covers that cost. Brokers argue that eliminating the fee will only allow landlords to raise rent prices if Boston landlords are expected to cover that cost instead.
We probably would see a decrease in traffic. A lot of brokers bring their clients to our company. We don't pay a broker fee to the broker, so they would have to collect that directly through their client.
Mayor Walsh is set to name the members of the study group by the end of the month. Reporting on Beacon Hill, I'm Amy Kucera, SU News.
Still ahead, an Olympic star's visit to the seaport. We'll have more right back.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
Will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
February in Boston is well known for being the coldest month of the year.
That's why hundreds turned out bright and early Sunday morning to raise awareness for people struggling with homelessness during the winter season. SU News reporter Rohan Gao was there to give us an inside look at this year's walk.
Hundreds of people braving the cold for a cause. The first annual winter walk held in Copley Plaza over the weekend.
As part of the event, volunteers walk shoulder to shoulder with homeless for 2 miles, then share a meal, getting to know each other and share stories. The event's founder says it's a chance to bring people together for a common cause, and it gives volunteers a chance to learn more about what it's really like to be homeless in Boston.
I first became interested in homelessness when I was driving by Albany Street with my son when he was very young, and he saw a man sleeping under the bridge and he became very upset. And I would have just driven past, and somehow it took the eyes of a child to tell me that we should care about people on the street. And ever since then, I have just been volunteering and helping different homeless groups in Boston. The point of the walk is really to bring together a bunch of people from across Boston, just to learn about the different service organizations and to learn how we can all help.
The founder says there were 1,700 people participated this year. The winter walk raised $250,000, and the bill will directly go to 5 service organizations the event partnered with. Reporting in Boston, for SU News, I'm Rohan Gao.
The city of Boston welcoming a special guest on the ice, and he is sharing his story, hoping to inspire others.
2018 Olympic bronze medalist Adam Rippon is performing at the Seaport's Winter Village. Rippon performed in front of a big crowd. Fans say they could not wait to meet him.
Yes, so excited. It'll be cool to see what he's like in person versus always seeing him on TV, and he seems very authentic.
I just love his energy, his humor, his talent, his realness.
After landing his last jump, the skater took questions with his friend, 2014 bronze medalist Ashley Wegner.
And sometimes people's personal opinion of what you might say or do, we feel like that could reflect the way that our career goes.
Rippon was the first openly gay athlete to win a medal at the Winter Olympics. After retiring from competitive skating, he has written a book about his life.
I love that he's out, and he's the first out Olympic athlete, and I'm so proud.
It's still cool to see someone be like their authentic self, out and proud.
Fans say Rippon is an inspiration both on and off the ice.
He truly is a great role model for young people today.
He really, really is.
And that's all we have for today. As always, thank you for tuning in. I'm Eddie Reinhardt.
And I'm Sofia Hernandez. We'll see you next week on SU News.